So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah! Jameson Williams is a very, very controversial figure among the Detroit Lions. Jameson Williams is a player that a lot of Lions fans love to root for, and Jameson Williams is a player that a lot of Lions fans like to prey on the downfall of. The former 12th overall pick from the University of Alabama was a big play threat coming out of college. He's a guy that transferred to Alabama in his final year of eligibility, put up huge numbers with a Heisman-winning Bryce Young, went to the national championship, but unfortunately tore his ACL in the process and officially dropped his draft stock. Now, most people knew that Jameson Williams coming into the 2022 season wasn't going to have a big rookie year. He was going to take most, if not all, of the 2023 season to recover, and that's pretty much what he did. Jameson Williams was on IR for most of the year, but was elevated in week 13 to play the final 6 games of his NFL rookie season, and there were some ups and downs. Jameson Williams had just 2 touches of the football, but those 2 touches went for 81 total yards, and one of them went for a big play, 1-play touchdown. Now, a lot of people were happy with the efficiency seen by Jameson Williams. Obviously, averaging 40.5 yards per touch is something that not many players are able to do, but they weren't very happy with 2 touches in just 6 games. There was a lot of people saying that Jameson Williams was already a bust and already not living up to expectations. And there was a lot of people saying just be patient and allow him to develop some chemistry with his quarterback. Going into year 2, things got worse before they got better. Jameson Williams was officially suspended for the first 4 games of the NFL season after violating the NFL's gambling policies while placing bets within a team facility. But the bright side was he was allowed to play in the preseason and practice with the team throughout training camp. That unfortunately was also short-lived, as Jameson Williams would make it just 1 game into his NFL preseason before having a hamstring injury that officially sidelined him for the rest and the remainder of camp and the preseason. But Jameson Williams' suspension was lifted early. Instead of having a 6-game suspension like originally planned, the NFL lifted it, and he was only set to miss the first month in the first 4 weeks of the NFL season. However, after returning, there were some issues. Jameson Williams kind of got off to a slow start, wasn't being targeted very often, had multiple drops in just a couple of games, but was still being relatively impactful for the plays he was being asked to make. He was given a couple screen passes where he made some nice catches. He was making really impactful blocks down the field, which allowed huge runs by both David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. So even though he wasn't being super impactful on the stat sheet, there were still some positive signs. Jameson Williams was still blocking really hard. He was still getting to the second level and opening up huge lanes for big runs for his running backs, and those are good mentality things to see from a wide receiver. But I think over the last couple of weeks, and especially last week versus the Denver Broncos, Jameson Williams has really started to emerge into his own. And not only is he now being efficient with the touches he's being given and impressive with the ball in his hands, he's now being fed an actual volume of targets, allowing him to be a truly impactful player all around on this offense. Now, in week 15 versus the Denver Broncos, a pass defense that ranked very top of the NFL over the last 8 weeks, and versus a defense that was statistically top 10 in most categories, in all passing categories over the last 2 months, Jameson Williams saw 7 targets, 4 of which were against Pat Surtain. He had 4 receptions for 47 yards and 3 first downs. He's a player that was very clearly involved heavily in the game plan, saw a couple deep shots, both of which were not completed, but certainly looked dangerous at the time. And then he had a couple catches behind the line of scrimmage where he made a defender missed and picked up a first down, as well as his fourth and final catch on the night being an incredibly difficult circus catch where he went up with contact in the air and through contact was able to hold on to the football through the ground, toe tap on the sideline. And he did kind of sprain his knee just a little bit, but it was an incredibly impressive catch for the young wide receiver. And it was something that a lot of people look at now and say, that's the moment that Jameson Williams truly arrived. This is the game that potentially Jameson Williams is going to use as a launching point to now get even more targets, to take those 7 targets and turn it into 9, take those 4 receptions, turn it into 6, take those 47 yards, potentially break off a play and turn it into 60, 70, or maybe even a first 100-yard game of his career. Now, this is not the first time we've seen Jameson Williams be super impactful. As just a few weeks ago in week 13, Jameson Williams once again saw low volume, but had 1 catch for 11 yards and a first down, and had 1 carry on an end-around reverse that saw him score a 19-yard rushing touchdown. So Jameson Williams is impactful on the ground as well as being impactful through the air. Even though his volume isn't very high, his efficiency has been really, really good for the Detroit Lions. Almost every single catch that he has that is not a screen pass has gone for either a first down or a touchdown. Going back a couple weeks earlier to week 12 in Chicago, the first game of that series, Jameson Williams saw 3 targets, saw 2 receptions, 44 yards, and a touchdown. And that touchdown came in the final 4 minutes of the game and was used as a launching point for the Detroit Lions to officially launch their comeback in that game. They were down, I believe, 10 points at the time, and they scored 17 points in the last 5 minutes, sparked by the Jameson Williams 35-yard receiving touchdown from Jared Goff to kick it all off. A couple weeks prior to that, going back to week 5 in Tampa Bay, Jameson Williams once again saw 3 targets, 2 catches, 53 yards, and a touchdown on the day. It was a touchdown that essentially won the Detroit Lions the game and took it from being a 13-6 game to putting it out of reach at a 20-6 game. The big catch by Jameson Williams, he ran a really good route just 2 plays before that was incomplete, had another nice 8-yard catch on that drive before the route. So on that one drive, he saw 3 targets, 2 catches, 53 yards, and a touchdown. Again, the volume wasn't there, but the efficiency certainly was, and we saw the big playability by Jameson Williams, and we saw the ability that he had. Going back to the Green Bay game just a couple weeks ago on Thanksgiving, Jameson Williams yet again saw just 3 targets, but had 2 catches on the day for 51 yards, including 2 big yak opportunities for 2 separate first down options for the Detroit Lions. He has slowly and steadily been gaining confidence from Jared Goff, not only on the deep ball, but for intermediate stuff, for contested catches, for a lot of different situations and a lot of different scenarios for this Detroit Lions team. Jameson Williams is now not being necessarily the primary target, but being a target that Jared Goff trusts enough to go up and get a football, that he trusts in a one-on-one opportunity to find open space, to separate from his guy in man, to settle down in zone and find the open opportunities to help the Detroit Lions offense more and more every single week. And I think that this last week, especially in week 16, as the season comes to an end, as the playoffs are starting to come around, Jameson Williams is really starting to find his stride. And I think, as I said, week 15 was by far the best game of Jameson Williams' career. You obviously started off the game with that deep ball, right? It wasn't completed, but he drew multiple defenders to him. And if the ball was a little bit earlier, that could have been a big play for Jameson Williams, if not a broken tackle and a touchdown. Justin Simmons made a really good play on the ball, was able to swat it away. But again, if Jared Goff got it there just a little bit earlier, it could have been a massive play for the offense. They came back a couple plays later, and Jameson Williams got a screen pass that picked up a couple yards. Jameson Williams then on a 2nd and 17 had a dump off pass that I believe was just a couple of yards in front of the line of scrimmage. And in very, very narrow spaces, Jameson Williams was able to make the defender miss and pick up 17 yards for a first down on 2nd and 17, moving the chains and setting up a touchdown opportunity for the Detroit Lions. His last play of the night, as I mentioned earlier, was kind of a drag route where Jared Goff was under pressure, threw it up high to Jameson Williams to give him an opportunity to go get the ball. And with the defender draped all over him, Jameson Williams went up and made a spectacular circus catch in order to help the Detroit Lions convert. He did get hurt and didn't see a target after that play, but he was, walking around with the trainer trying to stretch everything out and seemed to be okay after the game. But it was an incredible catch and a great play made by a great young wide receiver. Or another play that he made earlier in the game was a was a dig route where he was just in front of the line of scrimmage, about 8-9 yards past the line of scrimmage, right at the sticks, and the zones opened up for him, and he looked around and saw that there was space, and instead of continuing to run through his route like he has done earlier in the season, Jameson Williams decided to sit down and actually give Jared Goff a wide open look and pretty much stayed flat, stayed right where he was in between the zone players, and Jared Goff was able to find him for a first down pickup as Jameson Williams then got 3 or 4 more yards extra of yak and was able to pick up a first down and convert the chains yet again. Over the season and really over his career at this point, Jameson Williams, I think, has shown every single thing you would want out of a young wide receiver. He has shown the speed, he has shown the release, he has shown separation ability, he has shown yak ability, he has shown strong hands, especially over the last month or so. He has shown a diversity of route running. He has shown that he can develop trust with a wide receiver, or they can develop trust with his quarterback in Jared Goff. And for what it's worth, I think Jameson Williams is starting to come into his own. Jameson Williams has gotten more volume over the last couple of weeks, has been more efficient over the last couple of weeks, has not dropped a pass over a month and a half at this point. And he's starting to truly develop his chemistry and trust with his quarterback. Now, it's not perfect. The deep ball still needs a little bit of work. Jared Goff missed a deep ball where Jameson Williams beat Pat Surtain, as well as beating kind of the big post route to start the game. But other than that, their connection seemed really strong. He seemed to have a lot of trust in Jameson Williams, and Jameson Williams saw the highest volume as well as the most receptions and most productivity that he's ever had in his career versus arguably the best passing defense the Lions faced up to this point in the season. So with all that being said, I just wanted to do a quick video on Jameson Williams, do an appreciation post, talk about all the work he's put in, all the things he showed on tape, and really how it's all starting to come together now that Ben Johnson is getting Jameson Williams more volume. The offense is flourishing. Jared Goff looks better. Jameson Williams looks more impactful, and the rest of the offense is eating because of it. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about Jameson Williams, how you feel about the young wide receiver, a player that is still not even 23 years old, and finally, after really a true rookie season, is starting to find his footing and find his stride in the NFL. I'd be very curious what you guys have to say, but with all that being said, that is all for you guys right now. Thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.